and welcome. This cheesy intro is brought to you by books. Read them. Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Policy. I'm just kidding. With me and my dog in her butt. Right, woof woof. I'm gonna share my 10 favorite TV shows and shows that I like that I recommend to you guys. And some of them I'm sure you've seen them, but I still want to talk about them because they're just one of those things or movies that I like seeing over and over and over and over again, and it just never gets old. So let's go ahead and get started. And number one, well, actually it's not in any particular order, so these are all shows that I just like in general, but there's no specific order of hierarchy or which one's better or no. My heart can't handle that. So go ahead and start off with one of my favorite animes, which is Naruto and Naruto Shipudden. How can I explain this, without feeling like I'm missing anything? Naruto is an orphan boy in the village. He's cast out. He has no family. At first he has no friends, and he's kind of like the outcast of the village. Yet he grows up to be just a very driven, positive, innocent person. Innocent in the sense where they believe in themselves and they believe in good in people and stuff. And his dream is to be Hokage, which is the head ninja of the village. And no matter how many times people push him down or to laugh at him or just basically tell him he's never gonna amount to anything, he still has this big old smile on his face, and he's like, I'm Naruto Uzumaki and I'm gonna be Hokage someday. And then it's just this strong-willed confidence. It's just, and throughout the show you just get to see his growth of character over time, and even in times where you think, how can anyone believe in themselves at that point? He still proves you wrong, and I love it. And it's a message that I think kids should hear, because when you're young and you have dreams, you get a lot of people and just things in life that kind of discourage you right off the bat, and you want a voice, in that time of your life, reminding you to keep going and to keep pushing and to stay positive. So that's why I like that show. Next one, I'm gonna talk about another anime, Death Note. I just saw it recently and I was hooked just like that. Death Note is about a guy that finds a random notebook on the floor, and it's a book that somehow when you write someone's name, that person will die, and basically this demon dropped this book onto Earth because he was bored, and this guy picked it up, and the guy that happened to pick it up is this very smart Japanese teenage boy that's number one in his class, and he's bored himself, so he decides to start using the book. It turns into more of this battle of wits sort of situation where the authorities or someone is catching on to these murders and killings, and it's just a matter of outwitting or the police or this other person in charge of an investigation against him. And it's really cool to get in, it shows you what they're thinking in their mind, their thoughts, and their train of thoughts. It's so cool. And I remember I had just clicked on it, and it was after work. I was like, I'm just gonna watch 10 minutes, I'm tired. I ended up staying up watching God knows how many. I think it was 6 hours. But yeah, I highly recommend. It's really good. Another one I recommend, which is one that everyone and their mom knows about, which is Stranger Things. I started watching that because of my cousin. Props to her. She posted a picture of the show on her Insta, and I was like, you know what? I've heard so many good things. I'm gonna give it a chance. I think this was last year, but I decided to watch it, and it was so good. I finished the whole thing within 2 days. It would have been sooner if I didn't work for a living, but it's basically about these kids, and it's set in the 80s, and all of these kids are so cute. They're all so funny and just adorable, and basically one of their friends goes missing, and they run into a little girl that happens to be somehow correlated with their friend going missing, and got my dad to watch it, and he was watching this and he's like, was this made in the 80s? I'm like, no dad, it wasn't. But I was just like, because my dad is very, very picky, especially with new stuff, like, and for him to think that something was made in the 80s and it reminded him of the Goonies and E.T. and all that stuff, like that says a lot, because my dad is extremely picky, so you should give it a try. Next on the list is Dragon Ball Z Super, or is it Dragon Ball Super? I just butchered. Dragon Ball Super. If you're a fan of Dragon Ball Z, then I think you'll like this show. Some people are like, oh, it's not the same the way it used to be, but honestly, it's really good. Like, it still has that nostalgic feel, but with a new, like, more modern touch to it. It's super cute, like, it's worth it. And plus, seeing Vegeta as a family man, like, it was like the best thing ever. It was so funny. I think Goku's like my spirit animal because he is super goofy and a dork and clumsy and eats a lot. I feel like he's very forgiving and he gives people second chances. But the moment you threaten his family or his friends or anyone that he cares about, like, ooh, you don't want to mess with him, so. And Vegeta's really funny too, like he's got a real dry humor and he's like really like really like cold and mean, but like Vegeta too. If you like Dragon Ball Z and you haven't given this a chance, then you should watch it. Give it a chance. Alright, so this next one's gonna be a movie. It's Pride and Prejudice, the 2004 movie with Keira Knightley. That movie I have watched I don't know how many times. First, I didn't get it. Like, it has like this old English language. I didn't get their jokes right away until the second time. The third time I watched it, and the more I watched it, the more I loved it. It's based on the book, obviously, from Jane Austen. Music, the scores in this movie is amazing. I bought the whole album and I play it all the time. There's something relaxing and quiet and beautiful about it. And I love Elizabeth, which is Keira Knightley's character. Like, there's just, she's from like this middle class family, like a little bit more higher middle class, and she's just very strong-willed, and she has this like sense of worth. It doesn't matter like who you are, you're not going to belittle me, or I don't care who you are, I'm not gonna accept you if you've hurt those around me. I don't care if you're rich or poor, whatever. I don't know, there's just I don't know, I can relate to her character so much. But it's a love story basically, and I don't know, I don't want to ruin it. Honestly, I could watch it right now and I would just literally just watch it and just hang out and yeah. Okay. Next one is gonna be really close to my heart, and it's Lord of the Rings. I picked The Fellowship of the Ring because there's 3 different movies that are all, you know, it's like a trilogy. But for some, I used to be like obsessed with the Twin Towers, but I've been watching The Fellowship of the Ring lately for some reason. And I think just the ultimate message of the story altogether, you know, the trilogy is just that there's always hope. And it doesn't matter how ugly or hopeless the situation seems, like there's always hope, and you should always have faith in the goodness of this world. And it's such a deep movie. Like, there's so many messages on there that every time I hear it, I'm just like, and I love the music, the characters, the scenery. Like I've said before, New Zealand, I am coming for you. I'm gonna walk all over you. Okay. I'm gonna go visit the Shire and be a hobbit. That's my dream. And then I found out that there's this other place in Switzerland that inspired J.R.R. Tolkien to write some of the scenery in this movie. And I don't know if I'm saying it right, Lauterbrunnen, and it's beautiful. It's like this village, I think it's in the Alps, and there's like over like 70 waterfalls there, and they're going down the mountains. And like, this place actually exists, and it looks just like where the elves live in Lord of the Rings. So yeah, I am obsessed with these movies, and I watch them all the time, and I never get tired of them. The next one I have on here is Parks and Recreation. So Parks and Recreation, it's about these group of people that work in the Parks and Rec department of their town, which is under the government. And all these characters, they all have like their own unique personalities. Like Leslie is, I'd say, the main one, and she's like a super dork, super funny. They're all so funny. And then Ron is like a man's man, and he's super serious and just quiet, and he likes to be alone, and he doesn't like people bugging him, but he's still a softie, but he will never admit it. And then April, she's like, I feel like I'm in between Leslie and April, because April is very like cold-hearted and just mean. It's just like really like dry humored and just like Once you get to know the characters, once you get to know their personalities and how they're like, and once they start interacting with each other as the show progresses, it is so worth it. It's so funny. I put it on when I'm feeling like mad or sad and I just want to laugh. Then I put on Parks and Rec. It just never fails to make me laugh and make me feel happy again. It'll be a blessing. It'll be a source of laughter for you when you're feeling down, so give it a try. Next thing I have on the list is Guardians of the Galaxy 2. The story, the plot was really good. The scenery in this movie with the galaxies is so beautiful, and it's so funny. Like, I watched this in the theaters 3 times, and I almost went a 4th time, but I had to stop myself because I was like, okay, I'm spending too much money on this, and like, it's gonna come out on DVD soon, so I need to hold on. But I almost saw it in theaters 4 times, guys. Like, that says a lot. It was just beautifully made. Let's move on. Okay, so another show I decided to mention is Game of Thrones. Now, if you're under 17, please do not watch this show, please. For the love of please. It's just a lot of stuff going on that's for adults. I will have to say, I had to put my visual eye muffs on through a good portion of the series for obvious reasons. I'm not one to really watch things that are too, like, what's the word I'm looking for? Too raunchy, I guess? I don't know. But even though it had a lot of things that I was like, oh, this is too much for me, fast forward or mute. It is so worth it. The characters in this are just so, like, you can see them grow over time, and you can relate to them so much, because in most movies you see some characters that are angry or bitter, you know, they're hurting, and they tell you why, but you don't really see it, so therefore you don't really understand. This show, like, it shows you everything that they went through, whether it was, you know, the death of a loved one, or right in front of them, or just horrible things that happen to them. So you get to see what happens to them, so whenever you see them hurting, whenever you see them lash out, whenever you see them like act a certain way, you can understand it more. And then whenever they get their revenge or whenever they triumph, it means more, because you've seen them and you've witnessed them at their lowest. And then the overall plot is really good. You want to know what's going to happen next, and some characters you just hate so much, and others you just love so much. Like, Tyrion is hilarious. I love Tyrion. He's so funny. And then Daenerys is just queen, literally. Like, she's just awesome. Like, I'm just like, yes, girl, yes. Like, you're slay. I like that show. I wouldn't say I'm a hardcore fan. I have not read the books. I don't own any of it. But I do recommend it, because even though it had a lot of things I had to fast forward, it was worth it. It's really good. That shouldn't stop you from watching it. So the last thing I have, it's not a show or a movie, so I tricked you. It's actually a book series called, it's based on a boy named Percy Jackson, and it's this boy that finds out his dad is Poseidon, and he has all these really cool powers, and I feel like I could relate to him a lot, not in that sense, but in the sense where his train of thoughts were very similar to mine. I started reading that book when I was Percy's age, so I feel like I grew with him, as cheesy as that sounds, but let me show you. Let me, you don't even know. Let me show you how much I love these movies. Are you still recording? Not movies, books. Oh god. I don't think these are all the books, but goodness gracious, let me look at this. It's a lot of books, guys. Once you start reading them, you're gonna get hooked, so don't read them all in one sitting. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this, and if you did, then leave a thumbs up if you'd like. That'd be awesome. And if you subscribe, then that's awesome. And other than that, I hope you enjoyed it, because I did. They're my favorites, and hopefully I can relate with some of you guys. And yeah, so I love you guys, and I will see you next week. Bye. In the world, one fluff, one dog to rule them all. Anyway, guys, it's my brother's birthday. Happy birthday!
Happy birthday!
You got the first one.